Well, welcome everybody to the One Life course live, where over the next 6 Monday nights, I'm going to share with you the best news ever. My name is Mike Smith and I'm the Senior Minister at Minchinbury Anglican Church, a church that exists to love Jesus and show Jesus love. And one of the best parts of my job working at Minchinbury Anglican is I get to talk to people about Jesus and answer their questions about life and faith and meaning. And I'm looking forward to doing that with you over the next 6 weeks. Hit that like button if my volume is okay, if you can hear me all right. And it's great to be able to see some of you tuning in here tonight. And if you're watching this on the rebroadcast, then continue to engage in the comments, and I'd love over the next few Monday nights to share with you as well. When you think of the best news, when you think of good news stories, I'm sure that there are many things that can pop into your mind. For me, I can still remember those days when Ness and I visited the doctor, and 3 times that doctor said, "You're going to have a baby." And my face just lit up and I felt like dancing in the streets. What are some of the best news that you have ever heard? Why don't you write that down in the comments below? At other times, good news stories for me, when I received that notification in the mail or in my email inbox, letting me know that I had passed the course that I was studying. And I felt so good. I knew that I was progressing through my studies, heading on the pathway to graduation, and all those fees were going to be worth it. What are some of the good news stories? What's the best news that you have ever heard? Let us know in the comments below. I can see Paul Hallam. Paul Hallam says that his kids say that the best news was when our cat was going to have kittens. That is a good news story, isn't it? When you hear things like that. What are some other good stories that you have heard? Let us know in the comments below. But as I said, over the next 6 Monday nights, I want to share with you what I believe is the best news that you have ever heard. Mark Twain famously said these words: "The 2 most important days of your life are the day that you were born and then the day you realised why you were born." People search for meaning to life in all sorts of places. Their work, their relationships, their possessions, their achievements, their experiences. But so often they are left feeling frustrated and dissatisfied even in those good things. You may remember George Harrison from the Beatles. He famously said this: "When you've had all the experiences, made some money, toured the world and got all the acclaim, you still think, is that it? Some people might be satisfied with that, but I wasn't, and I'm still not." George Harrison from the Beatles. How are you feeling at the moment? Are you feeling satisfied in life? Are you feeling frustrated and disappointment and wondering what life's purpose is all about? Why don't you let us know in the comments below how you are feeling today? It's great to see some of you here. It's great to see Jennifer Wang, who is here this evening. And Jennifer says, good evening. Good evening to you, Jennifer. What is the best news that you have ever heard? Well, the Bible quite unashamedly says that the true meaning in life can only be discovered when you get to know the God who created life at the beginning. But I'm aware that some of you who might be watching this video may not believe in God or may not care too much about God and what he has to say about your life. You may remember the first Avengers movie. There's this wonderful scene where Loki confronts the Hulk, and Loki screams in the face of Hulk, "I am a god and I will not cower before a creature like you." To which the Hulk just picks up Loki and slaps him around like he is a rag doll, and then says those incredible words in that Hulk voice, "Puny God." And maybe that has been your view of God, someone puny from a bygone age. Maybe you have been sceptical about the existence of God. Maybe you've had a previous experience of religion that was dull and boring. Maybe you've had an experience of another Christian who let you down or hurt you. Maybe you've been to church as a kid, but you think you've outgrown those stories. Well, if that's the case, whoever you are and wherever you're watching, can I encourage you to come and explore with me over the next 6 weeks, to explore again whether there is anything true and meaningful in the idea of God and the Christian faith. I'm convinced that after many, many years of study, that God is real, and getting to know God is the best thing that you could ever do. I believe that God makes sense of why there is life at all, why there is something and not nothing. The more I've read about the origins of the universe and of human existence, I believe it's an absolute miracle that you and I are alive today, and that we even have the capacity to question our own existence. Nothing else in the universe can do that, but we can. And I think God is the answer why. I think the existence of God makes sense of why so many people in our world believe in a spiritual dimension to reality. I know that particularly in the West, there is a rise in secularism and the belief that God doesn't exist. But the reality is, when you look at the stats, is that our world is still a very spiritual and religious place. Even here in Australia at the last census, more than 70% of people still said they believed in a God or a spiritual reality to life. I think God's existence makes sense of why we think there is a good way to live and a bad way to live. Every culture throughout time, every human culture has had this inner moral compass that drives the decisions that they make in life, what they believe is good and not good. Now, of course, every culture will apply that moral compass in different ways. I recognise that. But the very fact that there is this moral compass within us at least asks the question, where did that come from? And I think the existence of God makes best sense of that. I think the existence of God makes sense of why we feel frustrated at the moment in the midst of lockdown and viruses spreading across the world. I think the existence of God makes sense of why we long for pain and suffering to be no more. The Bible allows us to ask that question, why? And the Bible gives an answer to that question, but more than that, the Bible offers something incredible. The Bible offers us hope for the future in a way that no other worldview does. I think the existence of God makes the best sense of the reality that we live in. But what about you? Let us know in the comments below. What are some of the arguments that you have heard for and against the existence of God? It's great seeing some of you here. I can see that someone has posted here from Minchinbury Anglican. I'm not sure who that is, probably one of our staff members, that says that every time I learned I was ex-poaching a baby was good news. I don't know who on the staff team said that, but thank you for sharing that. I can see a few other people have checked in tonight. I can see Seni Taufa, welcome, and Seni says hello to you all. I can see Elizabeth Spencer's online tonight. Welcome, Elizabeth. Thanks for tuning in and sharing with us as well. And I can see Bruce Robertson, and Bruce is here as well. So thank you for tuning in tonight. What have been some of the arguments that you have heard for and against the existence of God? Do you think God is real? Do you think that he makes sense of the reality that you live in? I obviously believe that he does, but what about you? What do you think? Let us know in the comments below. Now, let me just keep going on. Over and above all of those reasons that I just said that I believe that God exists, there's one other piece of evidence that's convinced me that God is real, and that is the person of Jesus Christ, the historical person of Jesus Christ, who lived in the land of Israel and Palestine some 2,000 years ago, an amazing man who did amazing things and still has an incredible influence on our world today. Mark, one of the early biographers of the historical Jesus, said this to begin his biography of Jesus. The beginning of the good news about Jesus Christ, the Son of God. Now, we don't know exactly when Mark wrote his biography of Jesus. Most experts believe that he wrote it somewhere between AD 45 and AD 60, which is so close, within 15 to 30 years of the actual life and ministry of Jesus, which in historical terms and amongst other historical sources is so close, which can give us a high degree of certainty that what we read in Mark about Jesus actually happened. Because there would have been people in those days that were living when Jesus was alive and could check what Mark wrote about Jesus. Mark, we know, was guided also by one of Jesus' closest followers, the disciple and apostle Peter, one of the eyewitnesses of everything that Jesus did. And notice there that Mark presents Jesus as the Christ, Jesus Christ. Now, some people get a little bit confused here and think that Christ is Jesus' surname, like Mike Smith, Jesus Christ. But Christ is not Jesus' surname. Christ is actually Jesus' title, like president or prime minister or chief health officer or something like that. But Christ is a Hebrew title that means God's only chosen king, or God's representative on earth. Many people in our world have a sense that there is something out there, something beyond what we can see and feel and touch, something beyond our senses, a powerful mind behind all things in the universe. But who is that, or what is that? Well, Mark says we can stop dreaming up our own answers about that, because he says, look at Jesus. He is the Christ. He is God's representative on earth. If you want to know what God is like, just look at Jesus. In fact, this opening sentence is really an invitation for us as the readers to come and explore what Mark says about Jesus and work out for ourselves whether it's true. And I hope that you keep exploring with me over the next 6 weeks, because I do think it is the best news ever. In fact, Mark says here, right at the beginning, Mark 1:1, that he is telling us good news about Jesus. Not bad news, but good news, or as I've been saying, the best news ever. He's going to answer the question, why are we here? And where are we going in life? I know you're asking those questions at the moment. I've asked those questions. Where do we find the answer? Mark says, look at Jesus. He gives the best news ever. He will tell you why you exist and where your life is going. As I said, this verse is an invitation for us to come and explore. And I hope that you will hit the like button there if you're keen to come and explore with us over the next 6 weeks. Now, some of you may have had the experience of walking out of a train station, maybe in the city of Sydney or another city where you are living, and someone handing out to you a leaflet, and you either ignore them and keep going, or you take the leaflet and then you promptly put it in the bin. Why do you do that? It's because you think that you already know what's on it and you're not interested, it's not worth your time, it's not valuable. Well, a British newspaper conducted an experiment a number of years ago. They had a gentleman standing outside one of the tube stations in London handing out a leaflet to people passing by. Written on the leaflet was an invitation, and it said this: return this leaflet to the gentleman who handed it to you and he will give you £5. No questions asked, £5. Now, over the course of 3 hours, how many people do you think took the leaflet back and received the free money that was on offer? In 3 hours, only 11 people returned. Why? An offer of free money, and only 11 people responded in the course of 3 hours. Why? Well, we know why. Because often when we get a leaflet at the train station, we think we know what's already on it before we even read it, and we think it is of no value to us. And can I say, so many people, I believe, do the same thing when it comes to Jesus. When it comes to investigating or exploring who Jesus is and what he has done, many people refuse to take the time to do that because they think they already know everything about Jesus, that he's not worth their time. He is of no value to them. And I think, like with that leaflet in the tube station in London, people can miss out on something truly amazing. And when it comes to Jesus, I'm not just talking about £5. I'm talking about the best news you've ever heard. Why you are here and where your life is going. Can I encourage you, whether you are religious or not, whether you believe in God or not, whether you call yourself a Christian or not, come and explore with me over the next 6 Monday nights. Tonight is part 1, an introduction. But over the next 5 Monday nights, we're going to explore together. I know the Olympics are on, and that's so much fun. That's good news. But I've got the best news ever to share with you. Please come and explore. If you get to the end of the 6th Monday night and you say to yourself or to me, thanks for the time, Mike, but I'm not interested anymore. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. What have you lost? Just 6 Monday nights in lockdown. But if you get to the end of the course and I convince you about the best news ever, I reckon you have gained so much more. So please come and explore. Hit that like button. Let me know that you plan to come and explore over the next 6 weeks. Now, I said in the promo leading up to this course that every Monday night you will have an opportunity to ask questions about life and faith and meaning. And so I want to start that tonight. I want you to bombard my comment screen with questions that you have about God, about life, about faith, about the Bible. And then over the next 6 weeks, I'm going to do my best to answer those questions. So bombard my screen now with questions that you have about life and faith and meaning. I'm not going to be able to answer all the questions tonight. I want to just whet your appetite for the next few Monday nights. But jump on there now. Let me know what some of your questions are. I can see, Debbie, thanks so much for asking your question. Yes, there are so many religions, there will only be one in heaven. That is true. Often a question that people have about that is, why are there so many other religions? If there is only one God who created life to begin with, why do so many people get it wrong? Why do so many people have a different view of God than what the Bible presents? That's a question that many people have. What are some of the other questions that you have? Elizabeth here, I can see, says that the details of creation point towards God for me. Yeah, that's what I said as well, Elizabeth. I think that as you look at the universe around us, it just points to the existence of God in so many wonderful ways. But it does raise a question that many people have. To what degree and what information can you know about God by just looking at the world around us? Because as I said before, so many people look at life and look at the world and look at the universe and come to different conclusions. How is that possible, even if God is real? Keep asking questions. What are some of the other questions that you have? I'm going to stay on here for the next 5 or 10 minutes or so. Please bombard me with questions. If you're watching this on the rebroadcast, not live, keep asking questions in the comments. I'll go through this over the next week and come back next Monday night eager to answer some of your questions. So don't feel if you've missed the live broadcast that you've missed out on asking your question. Put it there in the comments and I definitely will get it. Keep asking. I can see Paul has asked that same question. So many different religions. Why is that? Where did that come from? Keep asking your questions. What's there? What are the questions that you have about God, life, meaning, the Bible? Ask away. I can see a few questions coming in there, which is wonderful. I can see a few good news stories that people have been sharing as well. But keep asking your questions. I'd love to be able to do my best to answer them over the next little while. Oh, good. It's great to see so many people commenting. Well, friends, thanks so much for those questions, and I do look forward to answering some of them over the next few weeks. As I said, this is just part one of 6 sessions of the One Life Course Live, where we discover the best news ever, why we are here, where we are going, and how Jesus is the answer to those questions. So thanks so much for tuning in tonight. I hope that it was been encouraging, maybe even edifying to you. Please put some of those questions that you have about life, faith and meaning in the comments, and I'll make sure that I get them during the week. And make sure that you tune in next Monday night at 7:30 as we begin our exploration of Jesus, and we're going to look at his identity, who he really is. Mark introduced us to that tonight when he said, Jesus Christ, the Son of God. What does that mean? That's the answer that we're going to pursue next Monday night at 7:30. Thanks so much for tuning in tonight. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe so that you don't miss the next video when it comes out on Monday night. Have a wonderful week. Let's continue to explore together. Thanks so much for tuning in. Bye for now.